The Splatoon series has existed for almost 8 years now, and across its 3 total games, there is sure to be some very rich history as the game develops. Splatoon is the type of game that changes very often. Many patches are dropped that can either buff, nerf, or directly change things about the game during its lifespan. Because of this, the game is filled with rise and fall stories of certain weapons and abilities, and nothing seems to be affected the same way that blasters are. Blasters went from being some of the best weapons of all time in the first game, to being mostly trash in the second, and now have finally come to a pretty good point in the third. The changes to blasters have always been pretty dramatic and overtuned, but of the 6 main types of blasters, 2 of them seem to have stayed in a good spot throughout their entire existence. These 2 weapons are the Rapid Blaster and Rapid Blaster Pro. In this video, I'll go over the history of these 2 main weapon types, what they did well, why they always stayed viable, and how they have somewhat stolen the spotlight from the rest of the blasters. This is the history of Splatoon's Rapid Blaster and Rapid Blaster Pro. First, we need to go over what these 2 weapons are. Both Rapid and Rapid Pro are blaster weapons, characterized by their unique blaster shot that each weapon of this type possesses. The blaster shot has a large blast radius and does good damage, and these shots also have the ability to direct hit someone, which instantly kills the opponent when hit. However, only the Blaster, Range Blaster, and Luna Blaster variants are actually able to one-shot with a direct hit. The other 3 variants, being Rapid Blaster Pro, and Clash Blaster, all have 2-shot directs instead. The indirect shots on blasters, meaning hits using the blast radius, are usually 2-shot kills, but on the Rapids it's a 3-shot, and on Clash it's a 4-shot. Another significant weakness of the blaster weapons is their jump RNG. Shooters, splatlings, and blasters all suffer from jump RNG, a mechanic that especially hurts blasters. When shooting on the ground, blasters have perfect accuracy and 0 shot deviation. When shooting mid-air though, blasters can suffer anywhere from 3 to 12 degrees of shot deviation, making more advanced movement with blasters somewhat punished, which in my opinion should have been toned down a lot in the second game. Blasters are now commonly considered the worst class in Splatoon 2, due to the fact that they were unable to deal with a lot of the game's specials, had lackluster movement, and received massive nerfs upon Splatoon 2's release. However, the Rapid Blaster and Rapid Blaster Pro didn't exactly suffer the same fate as the other blasters. In the words of Keo, a top-level player and 7-time Splatoon 2 North American champion, it doesn't suffer from the main thing that kind of kills blasters. It deals with armor very well and shoots fast, when saying this referring to the Rapid Blaster. Those are really the 2 main things that keep Rapid relevant throughout the games, and it goes to show that despite the loss of a one-shot, the Rapids as main weapons are still very strong. Now that you have a basic understanding of the weapons, let's talk about them in Splatoon 1. I know I just hyped these weapons up, but in fact, Rapid and Rapid Pro saw very little use in Splatoon 1. In fact, the vanilla Rapid kit was considered the best of the Rapids, and yet there were still 4 other blaster kits that were better than it. Custom Blaster with Point Sensor and Bubbler, Grim Range Blaster with Burst Bomb and Killer Whale, Luna Blaster Neo with Splat Bomb and Splat Bomb Rush, and of course, Custom Range Blaster with Splat Bomb and Kraken. T-Range was considered the best, if not tied for the best weapon in all of Splatoon 1. It had an insane Light Depletion Kraken, which was the best special in the game, a really good sub in Splat Bomb, and a version of the main weapon that wasn't garbage like it will be in the next game due to insanely overdone nerfs. Because of the much more strict meta of Splatoon 1, weapons that weren't in the top 20 or so never really got a chance to shine, and because of this we never saw much Rapid or Rapid Pro. The kits they had were decent, sure, but none of them could compete with Splatoon 1's 4 Horsemen of the Apocalypse, C-Range, Cherry H3, Zinc Mini, and V-Slosh. The presence of the Rapids is unfortunately not very large in the first game, mainly just because they were outclassed for as long as they existed. This unfortunate start wouldn't last though, as just over 2 years later, Splatoon 2 would be released to the public, changing the community's view on the Rapid Blasters forever. Let's talk about the Rapid Blasters and the significantly more interesting, longer, and definitely more complicated history of Splatoon 2. Splatoon 2 essentially created a whole new game, heavily nerfing the strongest parts of the last game and literally removing all of the last game's specials in favor of more coordination-based special design. What came of this stark change in the series' direction? 2 words: Tri-Slosher. Tri-Slosher was given an insanely strong kit in Burst Bomb and Ink Armor, as well as originally having much more range than it does now, allowing for it to easily outrange most of the best weapons at the time, being short-range shooters. Because Splatoon 2 didn't have every weapon class on launch, there was a crazy lack of options to deal with Tri-Slosher. We needed a weapon that could deal with armor well, be able to outrange Tri-Slosher, kill it decently fast, and also be able to deal with the other team running multiple Tri-Sloshers at the same time. Within the somewhat limited weapon pool at Splatoon 2's launch, there was only one real option: the vanilla Rapid Blaster. It seemed like Rapid was the perfect weapon to deal with this meta, almost as if the devs knew how strong Tri was going to be when they added it, so they made sure to put in a weapon that could deal with it well. Vanilla Rapid has Ink Mines and Splat Bomb Rush, which are both very good at dealing with Tri-Slosher and its Ink Armor. Splat Bomb Rush was essentially good on Rapid because it struggled a lot with painting, and the Bomb Rush allowed for it to actually be used in splat zones as well as be able to shred armor faster than almost any other weapon considered at the time. I remember playing around this time, and I distinctly remember seeing a lot of these two weapons specifically, and seeing meta weapons outside of Splatoon's competitive environment this much is pretty rare. Spry was talked about so frequently that pretty much the entire community would pick up on how good it was at the time, sort of like how people think of Splash-O-Matic now in Splatoon 3. Rapid, being the much more difficult weapon to play, never saw nearly as much use as the time, as Tri-Slosher would definitely be the better and more accessible weapon. Unfortunately for the vanilla Rapid Blaster though, this would be the last time it would see any real use in Splatoon 2, as new Blaster and Bomb Rush kits as well as changes to the game in general began to make it severely outclassed. Speaking of outclassed weapons, let's take a quick look at the vanilla Rapid Blaster Pro. Both vanilla Rapids and Rapid Pros kits were support oriented. This means you'd often run them to help out your team with chip damage from the blaster shots, a good supportive special, and playing the objective, like grabbing Rainmaker, standing on tower, or collecting clams. Rapid Pro tends to be the more supportive weapon type, which is why it's favored by more backline support players, but Nintendo just gave it a pretty bad kit, being Toxic Mist and Inkstorm. Because of this, the weapon was instantly outclassed by the vanilla Rapid Blaster in a supportive niche, and of course, Rapid Pro couldn't deal with Ink Armor quite like vanilla Rapid can. Pretty much nobody wanted to have Toxic Mist on their weapon, and there would end up just being way better Inkstorm weapons that Rapid Pro couldn't compete with. Rapid Pro would end up getting an insanely powerful kit later on, but for now it would stay as one of the least used weapons for the rest of the game's lifespan, and would see almost no usage regarding competitive play. Around January 2018 is when Nintendo would make a big decision that would completely change the kit design for both of the Rapid Blasters going forward. Initially, both Rapids were oriented around supporting the team directly rather than taking fights like Slayers or Skirmishers do. Sure, the Rapids could fight, but they weren't ever given solid fighting kits that would help them win fights directly. With Nintendo's plans to make a third Rapid Blaster kit, and the obvious stat split between Rapid and Rapid Pro, they decided that normal Rapid would get kits with more Slayer potential, and Rapid Pro, from now on, would get kits with more supported potential. You could technically make an argument that Rapid Blaster Deco from Splatoon 1 had a good fighting kit, but its Suction Bomb and Suction Bomb launcher seemed to mainly orient around making up for the Blaster's lack of paint, whereas the next kit, Rapid Blaster Deco from Splatoon 2, clearly had the intent to fight. Equipped with Suction Bomb, a great poking special that paints well and walls off areas for a long period of time, and Inkjet, which was a really strong special at the time this weapon was relevant, you get the most aggressive Rapid Blaster we've seen so far. That was a pretty meta-defining special at the time, which was surprising to me because there's a notable lack of ink armor. Armor would still be ran, sure, but there was much less armor than what we see today, and because Rapid Blaster didn't have to deal with armor nearly as much, the main weapon would become very strong in the metagame that it was used in. While Rapid Deco usually wouldn't be ran over the more relevant jet weapons, specifically Custom Blaster, On-Parry Dualies, and T-Tech, although T-Tech was way outclassed by On-Parry, Rapid Deco would still see a lot of use from those who were already really good with Rapid. The Rapid Blasters are really hard to get good at, but the payoff was very worth it if you could be successful with it. The weapon isn't as easy to fit into team comps as Custom Blaster is, which is the main reason as to why we never saw much of it during the Inkjet dive era, but there were still some good arguments towards using it over Custom Blaster. While you would almost never see this weapon in Splat zones, a surprising amount of Blaster players would opt to choose Rapid Deco over Custom Blaster for Rainmaker. The Rapids are historically bad in Rainmaker, and the main reason people would sometimes choose Rapid Deco over Custom Blaster is actually the bomb. Suction Bomb is a much better sub-weapon than Auto Bomb, especially because of its higher damage to the Rainmaker shield. We actually would have seen a lot more of this weapon in Rainmaker if Rapids got the Rainmaker shield damage buff much earlier, but that wouldn't happen until much later in the game. In short, while Rapid Deco wasn't the best weapon at the time by any means, it was still a very good option to pick during the Inkjet popularity wave, and some people, like Kyo, whom I mentioned earlier in this video, would occasionally opt to pick Rapid Deco over the much more popular Custom Blaster, either for the reason that it would fit the team better, the need for a Suction Bomb, or just based on which weapon the user was better at. Skipping over a certain Rapid Blaster kit, we're going to talk about the last Rapid Blaster Pro kit in the game. It may surprise you, but the Rapid Blaster Pro Deco is not only the best Rapid Blaster, but by far the best blaster weapon in the game. Even today, when Splatoon 2's best comps are usually quad shooters, the weapon is a contender for being top 10 in the entire game, some say even top 5, rivaling the likes of NZAP and the Jet Squelchers. Rapid Pro Deco has one of the most insane kits that a blaster has ever gotten or will ever get, being Flash Wall and Ink Armor. As mentioned before, the usage rate of armor was really far down around the time that Rapid Deco was good, but as the Inkjet meta phased out, and more notably at the end of the lifespan, Rapid Blaster Pro Deco swiftly became one of the best armor users as well as the best blaster by far. Like every other Rapid, it wouldn't see as much use as other top tier weapons just because of the difficulty of getting good with it, but those who were good with it would see lots of success, sort of like another top tier, Foil Squeezer. RPD had a wall to keep itself safe and given an advantage in normally disadvantageous fights, and it liked to fill the backline slot for teams, meaning that we had a backline armor weapon with splash wall that also had really good mobility and honestly really strong special output, and a very good ability to play tower. It was also a top 3 pick on tower control specifically because of this, and the Rapid could do so much with a wall on tower. When your team has control of the tower, you get a very nice passive special charge buff, which I have some choice opinions on, but I won't be talking about those in the video, and it greatly increases your armor output with the weapon. If this weapon was more popular, it would probably make the game a lot less fun to play, especially on tower control. Oh yeah, it also had 180p armor, because why not, you know? Rapid Deco is 200p Inkjet, V-Rapid is 200p Splat Bomb Rush, and they just decided that we needed to make this one 180p for whatever reason. I think you can tell why this weapon is so good. Finally, we can get into what is probably the most popular Rapid Blaster of them all, the Kenza Rapid Blaster. I think it's fair to say that this weapon wouldn't be as loved as it is now without Pro Chara, top level player and Splatoon content creator whose footage I've been using a lot of in this video. Chara would upload Splatoon 2 games using Kenza Rapid pretty often, and people would start to realize just how awesome of a weapon Kenza Rapid is. It isn't the best Rapid by any means, but I personally enjoy playing it the most. Kenza Rapid came equipped with a very unique kit in Torpedo and Baller. I really like this kit. I think it's super fun to use, but there are definitely some glaring problems with the kit, which kept it from being the top tier I and many others always wanted it to be. First of all, this weapon only really saw use after the game stopped getting balance patches, and the finalized meta of Splatoon 2 consisted of a lot of shooter weapons, which were quite literally the best class at shooting down Torpedo. Because of this, there weren't many cases in which Rapid could use the full potential of the Torpedo to paint for its special. Even if it was able to use the Torpedo to paint, it's painting for Baller, and Baller kinda sucks. Also, the short-range shooters deal a lot of damage very quickly to Baller, which is one of the big reasons as to why it struggled in the endgame. Not to mention that Rapid's Baller is 200p, and the only real means of getting it are rolling Torpedo and actually shooting. Despite these inherent disadvantages, the weapon still performed very well. A lot of high X-Power players were using Rapid a lot, and it became the most often used blaster in a high-level solo queue because of this. In solo, pretty much any weapon can work, and Rapid definitely worked for a very long time. Sure, Torpedo and Baller weren't exactly a great kit to have post-patches, but it definitely outclassed Rapid Deco as the best fighter of all the Rapid blasters. Because it had good range and Torpedo, it was also a menace to weapons that struggle fighting Torpedo, like buckets, specifically X-Blosher, or Chargers. Not to say Torpedo is only good against weapons that struggle to deal with it, but it's also just a good sub when paired with the Rapid Blaster in general. Allow me to introduce you to my favorite technique in all of Splatoon, the Torpedo combo. Torpedo is an insanely powerful sub, second only to Burst Bomb. That doesn't mean Burst Bomb is the best sub in the game, by the way, it just means that it's the best when it comes to comboing damage with it. Torpedo can actually be rolled on the ground, and this rolled Torpedo can do anywhere from 35 damage to 60 damage. One direct hit from the Rapid, plus any damage from a rolled Torpedo actually kills, and if the other player has taken at least 5 damage before fighting you, you don't even have to land a direct to kill. This is by far the fastest way to kill with Rapid Blaster, and that's not even the end of it. The Rapid and Torpedo also combo with the Baller's damage, which makes this kit fully combo off of itself. Contact damage from a Baller is 50, which means a direct rolled Torpedo or a direct blaster shot afterwards will kill. And even better, the least amount of damage a Baller can do with his explosion is 55, meaning that both a Torpedo and a Rapid Direct will kill off that as well, just this time at much more range. This weapon has so many options to kill, all of which are more or less practical in different situations. Rapid is definitely the best of the 3 normal Rapid blasters, and probably every other blaster in the game except for Rapid Pro Deco. The fact that Rapid can beat out seemingly great kits like Grim Range or Custom Range just because of the main weapon is crazy to me, and is probably a sign that Nintendo really needs to fix Range Blaster. They gave Grim Range the same kit as Mini Splatling, one of the most impactful meta weapons in all of Splatoon 2, and it's still just okay. Well, that's it for Splatoon 2. The Rapids were surprisingly solid throughout this game, and when Nintendo dropped its final patch for it, the Rapids were far above all the other blasters. I personally really like Rapids in Splatoon 2, and I often revisit the game with some friends just so I can relive the excitement I get when playing them. I wish I had played more of the Rapids when they were good, such as Rapid Deco during Inkjet meta, but in all honesty I never really paid attention to the metagame as a whole until the 5.0s, which is part of the reason as to why I'm making videos like this. In short, the Rapids were great this game and super fun to play. Almost every single one of them was used by top level players at different points in time, and I just hope that the Rapids are given good treatment in the third game. And so far, from the looks of it, it seems like that's the case. Speaking of the third game, it's time to talk about Splatoon 3. While the game isn't even half a year old at this point, we've already seen significant changes to the Blaster class as a whole. To summarize, Blasters are much better in Splatoon 3 than they were in Splatoon 2 for a variety of reasons. The 2 most impactful ones though are the addition of Intensify Action and the removal of Ink Armor, Bubble Blower, and Stingray, which are 3 special weapons that blasters especially struggled against. Intensify Action can finally give the blasters their low jump RNG back, but unfortunately at the cost of using up a lot of your gear slots to make it work. As a side note, a lot of high-level rapid players are starting to ditch Intensify Action in favor of other gear abilities like Swim Speed or Special Charge. Intensify ended up not being all that useful when it comes to the Rapids and Clash specifically, but the other blasters like it a lot. So far, we have 2 Rapid Blaster kits, being the Rapid Blaster and Rapid Blaster Pro. Rapid Blaster is a very familiar kit, being Ink Mine and Triple Ink Strike, an obvious callback to the Splatoon 2 kit. Unlike Rapid from the last game though, it wasn't immediately meta-defining. Ink Mine is not a good sub by any standards, and Triple Ink Strike was unfortunately one of the worst specials in the game upon release, which would really hurt Rapid Blaster as a weapon, giving it pretty much no use at all. 3 months later though, the Chill Season patch would release, severely buffing Triple Ink Strike. Sure, Rapid is in T-Tech, so it's obviously not the preferred Ink Strike weapon, but the big Ink Strike buff shot the usage of Rapid way higher than it was before, even if T-Tech was preferred over it. Currently Rapid is one of my main weapons, and I'm attempting to push it to the point that it'll actually work, and so far it does. Either way, Rapid could definitely benefit from a second kit, as this kit doesn't really work on a lot of maps, and I usually don't get to play it, because my Machine or C Junior fit the team comp better. A more aggressive combo-based kit, reminiscent of Crapid, would be really cool to see, but we'll just have to wait for that one. By the way, yes, I know we have a Rapid Deco kit, and I've also seen the patch notes in which they severely buffed Inkjet in terms of damage to Crab, which is great, and it seems like Rapid Deco is actually going to be a really good weapon in terms of dealing with the meta. Pretty much exactly what K-Rapid was originally when it came out, and I like that a lot. It's fun, it's cool, the kit seems like it's going to be great, especially in the current meta, and yeah, I just can't wait to see. For the last kit in this video, we have to talk about Rapid Blaster Pro. So far, the vanilla Rapid Blaster Pro has been really bad in every game, but Nintendo decided to change it up this time. Upon release, a bunch of high-level players considered the Rapid Blaster Pro to, in fact, be the best blaster weapon in Splatoon 3. In hindsight, they were probably right. Every kit that the blasters got happened to be either mediocre or surprisingly good, and 1 of 2 surprisingly good kits were given to Range Blaster. And we all know how mediocre Range Blaster is. Anyways, Rapid Pro has Toxic Mist and Ink Vac, which sounds really bad on paper, but in practice this weapon does a pretty good job of what it's supposed to do. It usually takes the backline slot, allowing for it to move up easier and protect its teammates with Ink Vac, and the extended range of the main weapon actually really helps on Splatoon 3's currently released maps and their layouts. Unfortunately it has Toxic Mist again, but Mist isn't even half bad considering how easy it is to wall off areas of Splatoon 3's more streamlined maps. Yes, I'm talking about the maps. I know it's overdone, but it is pretty important to talk about when talking about Rapid Pro. Well, we're all caught up to the current day of Splatoon 3. The rest of the Rapid kits have yet to be released, but I have a lot of hope for the future of Rapid Blasters in this game. I plan on maining one of the Rapids for the duration of the game's lifespan, and hopefully if Rapid Pro Deco gets Wall, I'll be playing that as well. Anyways, thanks for watching all the way to this point in the video. I truly appreciate it a lot, as this video took a lot of effort, about a day of research and around 5 hours of editing, which is way longer than I usually spend on YouTube videos. I'd like to give a shout out to Bakura who let me rapid combo her for footage, and yeah, thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.